Hey there, so much fun to be able to hang out with you for a few minutes and share with you in a story. Thanks for joining me today. I was pondering this one, a story that's in Exodus. So this story occurs after the 10 plagues. So God has enacted plagues against all the gods of the Egyptians to demonstrate that he alone is God and Lord, and to help the Egyptians set the Israelites free. Along those plagues, there was a separation where for a while, for a few of the plagues, everybody experienced the same thing. But then after a while, the Israelites were separated out from the Egyptians, and the plagues only impacted the Egyptians, not the Israelites. So it's really an amazing experience of the demonstration of the power and the might of God. So right after that, so the Israelites have left. They're marching out, they're camping beside the Red Sea, and that's where our story begins. Pharaoh was told that the people were camped beside the Red Sea, and he said to his officials, "What have we done? Why have we let our slave laborers go?" And immediately he got his chariot ready to go out in pursuit of the Israelites. And he took with him 600 of the best chariots of Egypt. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so he went out in pursuit of the Israelites who had marched out so boldly. He took with him all the chariots of Egypt, all the troops and the horses of the Egyptians in pursuit of the Israelites, and came upon them at Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-zephon. When the Israelites looked up and saw Pharaoh and his armies coming down upon them, they cried out in terror and cried out to the Lord, and then said to Moses, "Were there not enough graves in Egypt that you had to bring us out to the desert to die? Isn't this what we told you when we were in Egypt? Leave us alone and let us serve the Egyptians. It's better to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." But Moses said to the people, "Don't be afraid. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. Stand still and see the deliverance of the Lord." That's the end of our story from Exodus 14. I'm just wondering, what can we learn about the character of Moses, who has come through a horrific season for the country of Egypt, where his advisors had told him Egypt has been decimated by the plagues. He'd come through that kind of a season, and immediately afterwards, when he hears that the Israelites are still close enough he could go after them, forgets all that's already happened and decides to pursue them again. Do we learn anything about his character, about him and his officials that together decide they're going to pursue the Israelites? And what about the Israelites? Did they have other options when they realized the armies were coming down upon them? Did they have other options rather than to say to Moses, "Why have you dragged us out into the desert to die?" Did they have something else they could have said? What else could they have hearkened back to that might have helped them face the crisis they were in? It's interesting, too, that Moses doesn't share their crisis. He doesn't share their panic. He stands firm in what God has told him. "I will again demonstrate my hand against the Egyptians." God's told Moses that. And he stands firm there, and he tells them this: "Stand still, and you'll see the deliverance of the Lord." I don't know in your life, but have you experienced in your life places where you've come to a hard stop, where there's no way open in front of you and the way behind you has been closed off, like for the Israelites here, that they were standing next to the Red Sea? Clearly that path wasn't open yet, and yet behind them the door was shut as the armies had come up against them. Have you been in a place in life where you're hemmed in to that degree? What has that felt like in your own life? I look at the Israelites here And I don't see them remembering the good things that God was able to do for them when they had just recently left Egypt. I see them instead believing the bad news, that because their armies are coming down upon them, that they're done for. Have you ever been like the Israelites? Believe the worst news in a situation rather than the best news? And what might it have been like for Moses to have anticipated what it might be like to lead the people to freedom and to have experienced what it was actually like? There was a contrast, it seems, between those two places, don't you think? Between what he anticipated and what happened. Has it ever happened in your life where you've had a contrast between what you hoped for and what you actually experienced? My blog that were released on Monday deals with that kind of disconnect in my own heart and life and how God's been speaking to me in that. I wonder what we might learn about the character of God in this story. That God allowed Israel to bump up against a threshold of the Red Sea and then shut the door by the armies coming against them from behind. What might we learn about the character of God? I hope you're not saying that he's capricious, because I don't believe that about God. But maybe we could discover that God is with us no matter our circumstances, that God has a way out no matter what door looks like is shut, that God has purposes and possibilities in the middle of things that we're experiencing. I hope those are some of the things you might come to as you look at this story. I invite you to go and read it. It's in Exodus 14, verses 5 through 14, and reconnect with the story of Israel, the story of Moses, and the story of this Pharaoh who didn't believe that anyone but himself was God, and therefore still pursued the Israelites, wrong word. I hope that this day meets you with hope and meets you with joy and meets you with the great gift of a God who is with you in your circumstances, knows exactly what wall you've come up against, and knows exactly what's come up behind you that feels like a rock in a hard place. I tell you, in those situations, God is mighty, and he has your best interest at heart, friend. I love you. Greetings to you. Blessings. Have a great day.